Okay, I just managed to chew free of my restraints, get away from my handlers, so before they come and get me, let's do another MJ's Bar. All right, real quickly, before we get started, thanks subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, take the time to subscribe. Click that little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. If you have any topics you'd like me to rave about, leave them in the comment section below and I'll get to them. So the topic today is the top 5 crazy beliefs and conspiracy theories. Okay, so we're going to list these from 5 down to 1. 5 being the least crazy and number 1 being completely batshit crazy. Okay, so number 5, the Loch Ness Monster. I don't need to go into details about the Loch Ness Monster, I'm sure everybody's heard of it, or Nessie as they like to call her. I don't know why they decided it was female, but Nessie it is. So Nessie's been going for, I don't know, 100 years or more. I'm not really sure because I've done no research into this video. Every expense has been spared. So Nessie's supposed to be some sort of a sea monster, even though it lives in a freshwater lake, so a freshwater lake monster. Some people think it's a plesiosaur or a pliosaur. Some people think it's a giant water snake. Some people even think it's a big giant eel. What it actually is not there. It's completely impossible. I don't think it's actually eaten anybody or done anything to anybody at all, except for the fact that it's extremely camera shy. So what Nessie actually is a great tourist attraction. Ah, there's my drink. I wonder where that I got to. So, how did the legend of Nessie start? Well, it doesn't take a lot of time to figure this one out. Think about it. So, nights are long and dull. Scotch whiskey is fantastic. So you can imagine the conversation goes like this. We really need more tourists at our lake. The fishing's great, but it's just not working. So one guy probably said to another guy, "Aye, well, can just tell them that the fish here are great. You can catch them when they're that big." And go, no, I'll tell you what, we'll tell them they're this big. No, let's go one better. Let's tell them there's a giant sea monster here that'll scare the crap out of them at night. That'll work. Boy, did it ever. The Loch Ness Monster is one of the most famous conspiracy theories there are. It is arguably Scotland's most famous tourist attraction, and they've got Edinburgh Castle and all manner of fantastic things to see. Please go and see Scotland. It's awesome, a little bit cold, a little bit wet, great place to see. And for some reason, people really like that sort of thing. You know, if you've got an old manor house or a church or anything like that, and anybody ever mentions that there's a terrifying ghost that might sneak up behind them and literally scare them stupid, people will come and visit it. What I really feel like doing is not looking at the art. What I want is like a creepy ghost to come sneaking up behind me and just go, "Ah!" That way I can die of a heart attack early. So if you see from the picture, there's your evidence right there. That's it right there. That grainy black and white picture, and I do believe it was freely admitted later on that it was a tiny little model that somebody took a picture of. But people that like beliefs don't like facts getting in the way. Now there are other pictures and there is other evidence, but it is supermodel thin, all of it. Like I said, Nessie is fantastically good at hiding. Nessie's like one of those old 1930s film stars who just disappears into their house and you never get to take a picture of them again. Now, like all great conspiracy theories, millions of dollars have been spent now to investigate the Loch Ness Monster. They have had teams of experts. They've sent submarines down, little miniature submarines. They've done sonar investigations and they've come up with diddly squat. And there's a really, really good reason for that, is because it doesn't exist. There's all sorts of first-hand testimony and witnesses, but then again, there's lots and lots of first-hand testimony witness that people have, you know, seen Elvis. And of course, there's plenty of people that are, you know, have claimed to have, you know, certain medical procedures performed on them by tiny little grey aliens. First-hand witnesses can't really be trusted because, you know, people will admit to seeing or doing virtually anything. Like I said, they said Nessie is all sorts of different things. The most popular one is a pliosaur or a plesiosaur, which is a huge big Jurassic sea creature that had lived during the time of the dinosaurs, which died out around about 70 million years ago. Again, done no research, so not really sure. You can correct me in the comments, feel free. Which means that we either have a sea monster that's definitely due retirement because it's about 90 million years old, or it's breeding in a lake. Now let's not mention the fact that a plesiosaur lives in warm salt water, and this one decided to spend 60, 70 million years in a freshwater lake in Scotland. So that's Nessie, or the Loch Ness Monster. So let's move on to number 4. This one is yet again another animal. It's super famous, arguably more famous than the Loch Ness Monster, and that would be the abominable snowman, dun dun dun, or the Yeti, or Bigfoot. It's got more names than evidence. So Bigfoot is supposed to be like an 8 foot, even 9 foot tall, upright walking ape, or ape-like animal, or very hairy man. It again is extremely good at not being photographed. As you can see here, here's a couple of images. They're the most famous ones of Bigfoot. One was actually a video image that was taken, I think it was in the 70s, but again, I've done no research because I don't really care. So it has been spotted in North America, Canada, Tibet. Who knows, it may be under your bed right now. Mostly on snowy mountain peaks or snowy areas, in woods, places like that. Actually, there is a more accurate way of describing where it's spotted. It's spotted where people wander around isolated and the drugs are really cheap. So the abominable snowman, or as I like to refer to it, very tall Ewok, or Ewok on stilts, it's either an unclassified giant ape or, how do I put this without causing insult, very hairy mountain men that don't like people trespassing on their property. So again, the evidence is usually a poor isolated person who doesn't have a camera or can't use a camera and always takes really fuzzy shots out of focus, or just basically a picture of a tree and goes, there it is, you can just see it now. If you just squint and close your eyes, the evidence of Bigfoot is a few pictures and a lot of footprint casts. Now, just like with Scotland, a lot of these places, the nights are long and dull. The drugs are good and the alcohol is flowing freely. It's only going to be a matter of time before you start carving freaky feet and stamping them into the snow at night because there's nothing better to do. I have heard that they did discover some hairs attached to a tree or something like that, and when they did genetic profiling on the hairs, it didn't match up to any known species, but that is just hearsay. Again, leave some comments, we'll find out the truth. And hey, you never know, a Nobel Prize may be on its way. Of course, you never know. Yetis might be super intelligent, it might get wind of it, and you'll end up with one knocking on your door, complaining and going like, to make you like sign a non-disclosure agreement. Sign the agreement or I'll leave a giant turd on your doorstep. It only has like 2 stages of anger basically, poo on your step or tear your arms off and run away with them into the woods. Now there's 2 explanations for this. One is either Yetis don't exist, or Yetis like messing with our heads and they're much brighter than we give them credit for. There's probably thousands of them just hiding in the woods, and what they do is they watch hikers, take pictures and walk around all day long, wait for them to get tired, put their camera down and then decide to go for a pee. And they're like watching from the edge of the woods, just sniggering to each other, just trying to keep each other quiet, going, shh, you're going to spoil it. Wait for the poor guy to start taking a pee, wait for a really good stream to get going, and then they all just like tippy-toe up behind him and stand behind him like this. You know, and then one just sort of goes, and the guy turns around, just, Not only is he peeing soon, he's doing something else in his pants. And then before he gets his camera, they're just gone again. Probably one just like slows down a little bit and says, just get a shot of my back and I'll do that really weird walk. Nobody will believe that crap. And of course you may ask yourself, because you're not insane, if Yetis do exist, why aren't there zoos full of them? Why isn't there at least one in a museum somewhere that's stuffed, like putting its fist out, really irritated about the fact that somebody shot him? And again, there's a great answer for that question. It's because they're not freaking there. Okay, so that's the Yeti done. So let's move on to crazy theory number 3. Ba-dum-bum. Shapeshifting, transdimensional lizard aliens. Wow! Now this theory, and I use the word theory in giant quote marks here, actually came from a fellow Brit. He's very famous, you can look him up on the internet. I'm not going to get into it. Now this individual does come out with a lot of things that make perfect sense. It's just that when he reaches the end of his lectures, he decides to tell everybody that all the prominent people in the world, royal families and all the rich families in America and all the members of the royal family in Britain, royal families around Europe, prominent politicians, even movie stars and all manner of famous people are in fact not human, but transdimensional shape-shifting lizard aliens. They like to feed on fear, apparently. That's their preferred diet. They've gone to a low-cal diet. They used to just eat us, now they just feed on our fear. And that's why the planet has so much war and crappy stuff happening, is because the more crappy the Earth is, the more they've got to eat. So it all makes perfect sense. Well, I'm convinced Just a quick side note back here to the royal family of Britain. I am English, so I'm going to comment on it. I don't actually think the royal family need to be shape-shifting lizard transdimensional aliens to be scary. They're scary enough already. Honestly, if I was a transdimensional shape-shifting lizard alien that fed on fear and they sent me a party invitation, I'd look at it and go, no, I'm busy tonight. The English royal family don't need any help being freaky. Here's a little gripe of mine. Why is it always lizards and snakes and things like that that get such a bad rap when it comes to this, you know? Why isn't it transdimensional shape-shifting hamsters? Or why is it even animals? Why don't we just move on to fruit and then we can have transdimensional shape-shifting fear-sucking watermelons? Now the evidence of this one is not tremendous. There has been, again, tons of research done and they have found images and legends about things like this. And these things are supposed to have occupied all the royal families right the way back to Egyptian time through Romans and Greeks and so on and so on and so on, and then eventually they ended up inside Taylor Swift. That came out all wrong, but you know what I mean. So these transdimensional shape-shifting lizard aliens, they, like I said, occupy or possess all the famous people around the world, all the politicians, all the royal families, anybody that matters. And they only change back when they're in private. It probably might affect your, standing in the community or whether or not people are going to vote for you if you do, in fact, on camera, change into a, 5-6 foot lizard that feeds on fear in front of camera. It may be hard to get people to vote for you at that point. So they are particularly bright shape-shifting lizard aliens. They know when to change. So you may ask yourself, why haven't they just taken over the world? And the answer to this is because they're really sneaky shape-shifting lizard aliens that like to suck fear. Maybe they think they make more fear by hiding. Personally, quite honestly, if I was standing in front of, just picking off the top of my head, the Queen of England in her form, that would be quite intimidating. I'd be quite freaked out. If she turned into a giant shape-shifting lizard alien in front of me, I think my fear levels might rise quite a lot from, frail old 90-year-old woman to slavering overlord of the planet. I mean, why not just matrix us? Come out in the open, bring us to our knees, and turn us into fear batteries. Just in case this turns out to be true, here's just a little side note. Hail, my lizard overlords. I'm a big fan. Please don't suck my soul or my fear. Just keep me as a pet. I'd make a good pet. I'll just sit in the corner. So enough about these raving lunatics. Let's move on to number 2 on our list. But dinosaur deniers. This one's number 2 on the list because the first 3 actually had the slimmest possibility of being true. This one, however, is nuttier than a bag of squirrels. Now this one goes real easy. These people just flat out don't believe dinosaurs are real. Now, I'm not going to get into why they think dinosaurs aren't real. We can all read between the lines. I'm not touching that one. You can't make me. Now again, I've done precious little research because I have a life and I don't really care about why it is they've come to this conclusion. But they think all of science, and when they say science, I'm not sure they know what they mean, but anyway, they think all of science are, making it up. Really funny, because they've actually, instead of picking on tiny little animals with little fragments of bones, they picked on animals with bones that are bigger than this table. There has been, over the last 100 years, hundreds and hundreds of tons of dinosaur bone dug out of the ground by thousands of different geologists and paleontologists and amateurs. But let's not let the facts get in the way of a great idea. Now, I'm not really certain on what it is they think's happening, but the only way that that could happen is that at night, all these scientists hire teams of people to make casts of various bones, dig them in the ground, come back the next morning, and then dig them up and go, oh, hallelujah, look what I found. I can classify this and get myself some grant money. I mean, admittedly, they are all searching for grant money, but not that desperate. I'm not really sure what they think the bones are. I mean, what do they think they are? Do they just think that that was one of the biggest chickens in the clutch that day? But like I said, though, once people decide to close off the fact door and open the I just believe this door, it's pretty hard for them to stop believing it. Honestly, I don't think facts will change their mind. They are so stubborn that if we found an island, unlike Jurassic Park and we actually recreated dinosaurs genetically, but we actually found an island where dinosaurs, for some miracle, had still survived, and we took some of these people to the island, and then because they don't believe that dinosaurs are on the island, they go wandering off and get eaten by a tyrannosaur, even as they were being munched down. They'd probably be going, no, I'm not convinced I mean, this one is really, really crazy. I mean, it's just such a random thing not to believe in. It's like going, no, France, I refuse to accept the existence of France. I mean, I'm just not buying it. Cars. Cars, you say? Yeah, but where's the evidence? So, not a lot else to say really about dinosaur disbelief. Please feel free to comment. Give a thumbs up if you think dinosaur disbelief is wacko. Right, well that's enough of those brain donors. Let's go from the crazy to the absolutely squawking duck insane. Number one on our list, badam, flat earthers. So for those of you that haven't figured it out already, flat earthers think the earth is flat. Go figure. Not the cleverest name, but that's what they think. So what can you say? Everybody that isn't absolutely mad knows that we live on a sphere, that the earth is basically round. Not flat earthers. No, they're not convinced. Now even as far back as like the 13th century, a lot of people thought the earth was round. We had all sorts of things that helped them figure this out, like brains and mathematics and logic. A lot of people spotted the way the sun progresses and they sort of figured out that we must be orbiting something, or they weren't really sure about whether or not the sun orbited us or we orbited the sun, weren't sure about the size of the universe or age of it or anything like that, but they had figured out we didn't live on a big flat plate. Now, I would go into their evidence for this, but I don't care. If you want to waste your time, go look it up. They actually have conventions, and I'm sure you can get a ticket to a convention. I'm sure there are plenty of seats available. And again, they probably have spent millions of dollars trying to convince people that we don't live on a sphere. Here's a quick experiment for a flat earther. Get a compass, point it in one direction, start at your house, and go in that one direction as fast as you can for as long as you can. Sooner or later, as long as you've stayed accurate, you're going to come back to your house. You are not going to fall off the edge of the planet. So if you hear like sizzling sounds now, that's not the sound you hear when you get to the edge of the earth, and it's not my brain frying, it's actually my wife cooking. That probably is the kind of sounds flat earthers hear all the time when they're, sitting in their room late at night, wishing they had a boyfriend or a girlfriend or friends, and not having to spend their time listening to the sizzling noises and the voices in their own head. So, in order for this one to be true, virtually every scientist, meteorologist, pilot, air traffic controller, and countless thousands of millions of other people have to be in on the conspiracy. And here's a good point. Why would it matter? Would it actually matter if the earth was round or flat? Would it make any difference to you? Wouldn't make any difference to me. I wouldn't care. I literally wouldn't care. So not only is this a crazy thing to come out with, it doesn't really warrant there being a conspiracy in the first place, because it doesn't make any difference. If the earth's flat, okay. And what do they think? I know they think the earth is flat. Do they think everything else is flat? So what about the moon and all the other planets and the telescopes we point at them and the fact we watch them rotate? I mean, do they think they're like flat and then they do this like a piece of paper and then they come round again and they keep going? Is that what they think the moon's doing when it gets thinner? Wow. Did they need... I don't know what they needed when they were kids, but they needed it. Again, I'm really unclear because I really don't care. Whether or not we just live on the top of the flat earth or we actually live on the underside. I don't know what they think happens when planes fly around the world. I'm not really sure when people circumnavigate the world in a boat. I mean, with all the digital technology now, surely somebody would have made a YouTube video entitled, "I ran into a giant wall that said no further please on my trip around the world." Imagine all the missing aircraft and boats that just go plopping off the edge or have to run into a big wall. I mean, what do you think it is? Like security guards wandering up and down. Maybe they're shape-shifting lizard aliens that are actually guarding the edge and going, no, you move this way. I mean, this one is just without redemption. How in the 21st century could you possibly believe this? So let's talk about some of the counter evidence. Like I said, all the millions of people that have to be in on a conspiracy that nobody cares about. Satellites, all right? And here's a really, really good one. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, didn't we go to the moon? Didn't we, in fact, fly somebody away from our planet onto another round thing, and take pictures of the Earth? These people also think, by the way, that things like NASA and stuff like that are all just total nonsense, just TV shows done for our entertainment. Google Earth is also part of a massive conspiracy. And it is convenient that most of the planets we look at, including the stars, I assume, are all like fully face onto us, like this. None of them are like at an edge or just wafer thin, Oh, I stole a line then from a movie. By the way, wafer thin is in fact what this conspiracy is. It's not even wafer thin. It literally has no dimensions at all. It's just not there. This one really is a big puddle of mule's vomit. So there's nothing else to add. If you want a really good night's entertainment, go and look up flat earthers. But warning, it's probably going to be bad for your health and you may lose several IQ points So that's all there is to say about flat Earth. Easily, no problem, #1 on the list. So that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I got to get out of here before my handlers catch me, put me back in my jar. More videos to come. Thanks very much. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to take my drink. So quickly, remember, don't travel too far in one direction. You're going to fall off the Earth. Don't believe all those random crazy dinosaur stuff. Watch out for the shapeshifter lizard aliens. They're out for you. Bigfoot is actually hiding under your bed right now. And the Loch Ness monster was last spotted in your bathtub. Thanks very much, guys. I'm out of here. See you later.